Today we're going to talk about changing fractions to decimals. If you take a look on your screen, you see a grid with 100 squares in it. In this grid, we have 2 rows of 10 each, which gives me 20 blocks out of 100. This one is easy to turn into a decimal because remember, think about it as a dollar. We know that to write 20 cents out of a dollar would be 20 cents like this, 0.20. You can also just write it as 0.2. Let's take a look at the next one. We have 4 rows out of 10. Now, I can look at this 2 ways. I can easily remember that my tenths is one place past my decimal and do it 0.4. Or, I also know that if I multiply the bottom by 10 and the top by 10, I get 40 out of 100. And that one is easy to remember how to change into a decimal because, again, it's just like using change when you're writing it in dollar and cents notation, and it would be 0.40 for 40 cents, or just 0.4. Let's take a look at this next one. We have 6 rows out of 10. Again, I can multiply my bottom by 10, I can multiply my top by 10, and get 60 out of 100. I can write this in dollar and cents notation, which is a decimal, and write 60 cents, or I can just remember that one place past the decimal is 6/10. This time I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. I have 77 out of 100. Okay? Very easily, as if I'm writing this as if it's change, it's 0.77 like you would write 77 cents. Now let's take a look at if we don't have a picture. I have 5/10. There's many different ways I can do this. I can look at this and go, I already know that 5/10 is one place past the decimal. It's 5.5. Or I can look at this and say, I know that 10 times 5 and 10 times 10 equals 50 out of 100, and 50 cents would be 0.50. Other people might do it this way. I know that 5/10 is really equal to 1/2, and that half of a dollar is 50 cents. So there's several different ways you can do that one. 2 100ths. One thing that you need to remember is, if I have 2 out of 100, my hundreds place is actually 2 numbers past the decimal. So it's just like saying 2 cents. You need to remember that that 0 has to go before. If it doesn't, if you write 0.20, that is really equal to 20 cents, or 20 over 100. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. What if the bottom is not 10 or 100? What can I multiply by 4 to get me to 100? Well, I know that there's 4 quarters in a dollar, so I could take 4 times 25, and remember, whatever I do on the top, I need to do on the bottom, and do 3 times 25. That gives me 75 out of 100, which is the same as saying 75 cents, and I would write it 0.75. Well, what about 2/5? I know that 5 times 20 is equal to 100, and I have to do the same thing on the top, and that 2 times 20 is equal to 40. So that is the same as saying 40 cents, or 0.40. Now, sometimes you might have to use your calculator to change your fraction into a decimal. Sometimes it's difficult to use multiplication to turn a fraction into a decimal because there isn't always something that is easy to multiply that denominator by in order to get to 100. So here's what you do if that happens. Let's say you have the fraction 2/8. You need to start by taking your numerator, number 2, and dividing it by your denominator. You can even try doing this on the calculator. Try it right now and see what you get. Put 2 into your calculator, divided by 8 equals 2 divided by 8 equals 0.25. But remember, you should only use your calculator if your denominator is not a 10 or a 100, or if you cannot easily multiply your denominator, your bottom number, by something to get to 100.